Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Cedric Geffen. I'm the former president and currently the executive director on the board of March of the Living Australia. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here this morning, and evening or afternoon in the US, to another of our online events, all related to the two core pillars of our educational mission: learning more about and from the Holocaust, as well as Israel, to ensure a better understanding of the past and the present in order to create a better future for all. During the past 6 months, our thoughts, minds, hearts, and bodies have been focused and consumed by the tragic scenario that has unfolded and is still raging in Israel, Gaza, and surrounding areas. And we therefore made a conscious decision late last year to defer all of our, until then, regular webinars and virtual events accordingly. This morning marks the third event since the resumption of our educational sessions this year, and I hope that it will help us all in seeing some light during this period of seeming darkness. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the lands on which we work and live, and on which this online event is being hosted today. We pay our respects to Indigenous elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. At the outset, I would like to state that March to Living Australia deems itself as an apolitical entity dedicated to combating intolerance and fighting injustice, as a legacy of the Holocaust and our Jewish heritage, strongly advocating for inclusivity, freedom of speech, and respectful dialogue, no matter whether we agree or disagree on the topics and delivery of the messages being conveyed by our presenters. March of the Living Australia neither promotes nor endorses in any way the views of individual presenters, and we call on all attendees to listen to and engage with the presenters and other members of the audience in a respectful and meaningful manner. Before introducing our incredible guests joining us from across the globe in the USA, please allow me to briefly touch on some housekeeping matters. Number one, this morning's event will take the form of a fascinating presentation, talk, and short video during which everyone, bar our two guests, will be on mute. So I kindly request that you refrain from unmuting yourself until the Q&A session at the end. I call on you to use the chat function at the bottom of your screens to pose any questions, and time permitting, I will raise these on your behalf. Alternatively, I may ask you to pose the question yourself during the Q&A that will follow the initial discussion. And finally, just a reminder that this session will be recorded and will be available on our social media and our website for you to share with others later on if you so wish. Now, with further ado, I would like to introduce our very, very special guests, Mona Golabek and Rebecca Keel. Rebecca is currently project coordinator at the USC Shoah Foundation with an illustrious track record in education and social reform. She has a BA in sociology, a master's degree in educational leadership, as well as a master's in interior design. Mona is a globally acclaimed Grammy-nominated concert pianist who has created a living and riveting testimony to her beloved mother, who, thanks to her prodigal talents as a pianist and other acts of good fortune, hope, belief, and love of music, managed to survive the Holocaust. Please welcome Mona and Rebecca as they share insights into the creation of the book, the incredible story of Mona's survival, and the methodology of how Mona, in partnership with the USC Shoah Foundation, continues in her mother's footsteps, invoking the life-affirming power of music and hope, and bringing the story alive to audiences across the globe. Thank you so much. Rebecca, over to you.
Thank you, Cedric. Go ahead, Mona.
Oh, just hi, everyone. And Cedric, I think we're going to hire you and we're going to take you on the road with us. Such a wonderful introduction. And we are thrilled to be here with all of you. And Rebecca, I'm turning it over to you.
Sure. So I'm going to share my screen, everyone. If things don't go exactly right away, hold tight and I will fix it. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen? PowerPoint?
Yes.
Good to go. Okay. So, yeah, thank you for that. I didn't know I had that bio in there. I was kind of surprised for that. So thank you. But we're here because of Mona, right? And her mother's story. She has created this unique opportunity for the world to hear her mother's story through her foundation called Hold On to Your Music Foundation. And through the story of her mother, and it's in a book called The Children of Willesden Lane. And we're going to share with you some of our mission, our vision, and the tools that we have to share that story with young people and adults around the world. So thank you for being here with us. You already got our introductions, but I am Rebecca Keel. I am based in New Orleans in the United States. And this is Mona. She is the founder of Hold On to Your Music Foundation, Steinway concert artist, and author of The Children of Willesden Lane. And she is based in Los Angeles. The work that we do is grounded in her mother's story. This is her mother here, Lisa Yura. And we do this through books, music, and the performing arts. We tell this story of this universal story of hope, that empowers generations with knowledge and understanding. And we partner with educators, cultural organizations, Holocaust museums, different groups around the world to inspire students and families and communities to engage in these stories of resilience and hope and legacy. And what does that mean as we move forward through our lives? And so we believe that one story can change the world, that we can center that story on hope and resilience. And again, this is Mona's mother's story of Lisa Jura. And she was a Kindertransport survivor. And she was a child prodigy on the piano. And so you will see, I'll let Mona tell her story a little bit more. Mona, do you want me to go into the video, or do you want to speak for a minute before I go into that? I want to hear you.
Yes, this is so wonderful. Hi, everyone. Yes, I think Rebecca and Cedric have said it very well. My dream has been to share this story of my mother around the globe. I'm so privileged. Millions now have read the book in many, many languages that we'll talk about later on. And I do a theatrical show called The Pianist of Willesden Lane, based on the book. This image that you see here, I think it's from Texas, if I recall. We've brought this to very large citywide reads across America, South Africa, Paris, in London. We did it for 10,000 students, 1/3 of them Muslim students who asked, when was this book going to come out in Arabic? And that was one of my major goals. It did publish a few years ago in the Arabic language. We just got the offer now for China, for the book to publish in Mandarin, and we will go there in 2025 when the book publishes. But Rebecca, you could maybe talk about the K-1 and the various different books here that we have.
Sure. So you'll see that the first book was this book on the right-hand side, the red cover, and the publisher saw the need and the opportunity to spread the story through those K-12 audiences. So we have the white cover, which we consider middle school for us in the United States, but it seems to translate across the world. The blue is the Lisa of Willesden Lane, which is at upper elementary or upper primary grades. And then the far left is the picture book that is great for those K2 readers. The story is introduced at an age-appropriate way at each one of those levels. We introduce the story of Mona's mother through the Kindertransport, which is a unique entry point into learning about the Holocaust and those relevant themes. And so we find that teachers across the world really enjoy the opportunity to choose which book works best for their students and how they want to introduce the story into their classrooms. We also find that many families love to use these at home as well with their children. And often it becomes a favorite of their kids. I'm sure that Mona, after performances, you'll see young people running up to stage afterwards to get her to sign their book. And so I'm going to take us into that. This is a little overview of the educational program that we have that we've done around the world, so you can kind of see the reach that Mona's just was speaking to. So I'm going to take you to that. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment so I can set this up correctly. There we go. Please let me know if you can or cannot hear it.
Mom taught me the piano, she would always tell me that each piece of music tells a story. She would tell me stories about her youth, how she grew up in Vienna, how she had to escape from the Nazis and come out on the Kindertransports to England, how she grew up during the war, and how her music inspired a mysterious set of characters at a hostel on Willesden Lane in London. I thought, wow, I want to tell her story.
Lisa Jura's story is the story of every child.
My name is Lisa Yura. I'm 14 years old. It's Vienna, 1938, a Friday afternoon.
Lisa's mother did something remarkable, which is she gave her daughter something she could carry with her for her entire life.
Mama took my face in her hands. Never stop playing the piano. Hold on to your music. I'll be with you every step of the way through the music, with every beat, with every phrase, with every note, my darling. I will be with you. I thought if I could get that story out there, then young people would say, if I've got something to hold on to in the darkest of times, I'll make it through.
Even though we have different stories, we were in Lisa's shoes. She embodies that legacy. She brings her humanity, she brings her extraordinary talents, and she brings her intense dedication to the transmission of this history for the betterment of the world.
Young people tell me, if Lisa can do it, I can do it. They tell me this over and over. If I've made a difference in one person's life, a young person that maybe had a doubt, that's what keeps me going. I get more out of this than I think my audience does. My whole life I've been searching for my purpose and my meaning, and I found it.
Just get the next slide ready. So as I do that, Mona, do you want to, sorry.
So this, so as Rebecca was telling you, and as I was sharing, I woke up one day and I had a dream to share this with the world. And then my lucky day happened when my path crossed with the USC Shoah Foundation. We were awarded a very large grant from a foundation out of San Francisco to create assets and to create teachers' guides and all kinds of educational assets using 21st century technology. And I think Rebecca's going to show us a little link here called the Willesden Project that has been launched now.
Okay, so I'll show you this link and then we'll do the Saban. Does that sound good, Mona, to you?
Perfect. Just a little
Okay.
taste of that, and then I know we have to let you go.
Sure. Okay, so as Mona mentioned, this is the Willesden Project. It's a unique way to reach students. It is a partnership with the USC Shoah Foundation that has over 56,000 interviews of survivors of the Holocaust and other genocides as well. So it is a very grounded in firsthand testimony approach to this education about the Holocaust and those related themes. And we're very proud of the different things that we can do with that. We have our first Dimensions in Testimony, which with Mona, with our first second gen survivors, we have that with Mona. We have an animated short that we've also created. I'm going to show you all this in just a moment. We've created these unique eye walks that students can go and walk through the same journey as Lisa. And they're like, they can get in there and move around and ask questions. And then we also have a beautiful story time that we've also done with Mona with the picture book. So, all right, let me stop sharing one more time. Okay. Okay, so here is the Willesden Project. We have resources available for primary, middle, and high school, and we also have our international resources in different languages here as well. You will see, as Mona mentioned, this is a partnership between these three organizations, and we also have and quite a lot of different tools here for you and even for you to use at home as well. So here's the animated short that I just spoke of. We have Mona's her performance here that you can watch with young people as well. And then we have the Willesden Lane interviews, which are some of the people that were in the hostel with her mother, which is quite a unique, rare opportunity to have those interviews. And then I'm going to then just take you into middle school just so you can see a little bit of it. We do have classroom materials here, educator resources. This is our dimensions and testimony where people can actually talk to Mona and ask her questions. Very excited about that. And we also have one with Edith Maneker, who was also a survivor a refugee on the Kindertransport as well. We have teacher guides available. We also have another partnership with Discovery Education. And so we have even more resources and tools for you to use here. In our educator resources, we have music that Mona has herself recorded that is in her book. We have a partnership with Echoes and Reflections, if you're familiar with them. They're a partnership between USC Shoah Foundation, ADL, and Anti-Defamation League, and Yad Vashem. And those three came together to create some really great tools here that we really ground ourselves in their principles and how to teach Holocaust instruction in a safe and mindful way to young people. So we have a lot of great tools here. And then in our classroom materials, we have some really fun interactive ways for students to engage in the material. And so you can see there's lots of them here. I won't spend too much time on this, but I'm going to take you to, I'm going to actually is Yael there? I'm going to let Yael to introduce the Saban, or I'll let Mona introduce it, but I'll let you pick up from there. How's that?
Right, let's just make sure Yael has the link to be sure before she presses it. And I can just say a couple of words to everybody. So what you're about to see is a very short opening of the show that we shot. I think you noticed in that video, let's just make sure, because I know, Rebecca, you have another engagement.
I'm not going to.
Okay. Yeah, do you have that link? You'll be able to go on it and find the show for us. Let's just be sure. Maybe you want to bring that up right now, but not press on it.
Give me 1 second, keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So I'm pleased to do that. So you saw that I put on a wig. Well, there's a commercial show built upon my book done by the celebrated Canadian artist Hershey Felder. And so when he took me under his wing, he challenged me to become my mother in the show. And so I put on the wig and I become her. She had red hair, short red hair. And we follow her journey from her dream in Vienna as a young girl, being saved on the Kindertransport, the decision that her parents had to make because they had 3 daughters, and how she grew up in London and kept that dream alive. And when I was a little girl growing up, and my mother taught me the piano, she always said that each piece of music tells a story. So through that music that she taught me, I learned the story of her life. Well, skip ahead many years, and I'm engaged to play the very piece she dreamed about, the Grieg piano concerto. And that's how this dream and journey for me began. I knew there was a powerful message here, and I decided I wanted to share it with the world. Messages of what do you hold on to, and also really what is our purpose. And this is a story of man's humanity to man. So we're going to see if Yoel has that link available to watch, but you're going to see what we shot during the COVID, where I'm the daughter telling the story. So I don't put on the wig. I'm just Mona, the daughter telling the story. And Yoel, we'll see if you've got that.
Do we have that?
I just put it in the chat box again. If you just go to the Willesden Project, I can just direct you. If you go to the willesdenproject.org, I can show you exactly where to go once you're on that page.
If it's the recent one in the chat, maybe we can just hit there.
Yes, it should be in the chat, right?
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
And you can go. Thank you. You can go full screen.
Can you make it larger? Great. Beautiful.
It's Vienna, 1938, a Friday afternoon. Lisa Yura is 14 years old.
I think this isn't running correctly.
And like every Friday afternoon, she's preparing for the most important hour it's Vienna. Of her week, 1938.
No, I'm afraid that
Friday afternoon.
it's not
Her
started
piano
properly.
lesson. Lisa Yura. She slipped.
I'm afraid that it didn't line up. I'm sorry. The music.
That's all right.
Yes, I'm so sorry. You know what we'll do? We will provide to all the folks here the link to be able to watch this on your own time, the full show. I think that's a better way of the use of our time right here as opposed to this. But I think you'll enjoy the show. It's about 25 minutes. This is the reduced show that Discovery Channel in America filmed of me, now with all subtitles in Mandarin, in German, in French, in Hebrew, in Arabic. So if you have an Arabic friend that wants to watch it, you'll be able to do that. You can go right onto the site to do that. And I think that that would be a better choice going forward here.
I agree.
This is what probably about 1 million students across America have seen this link. And as Rebecca said, there are many other videos there that you can enjoy as well. But I think you know what my heart is about. I think you know what I've been doing. I just came from Washington, D.C., where we did the show in our national cathedral. It was a great triumph and a great honor. I felt very privileged about that. I return to Washington next week, where I'm going to film for Discovery Channel. And then I go to New Orleans, where I will perform in the Freedom Pavilion of the World War II Museum, built by Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and many other wonderful folks down there. That's going to be very thrilling because there will be World War II bombers above me. The Steinway piano will be below. I will be right next to a tanker. We will be filming that to go into a documentary that I've been shooting for the last 10 years around the world, a documentary that I'm very honored to say has the participation of Rabbi Jonathan Sachs and many other distinguished artists. And I think one of my producers actually might be in this Zoom, Susan Lubitsky, because I see her name. One of our board members has joined from the San Francisco area. And then after that, I'm going to Israel, where I'm going to do a 10-concert tour. The book is going to be adopted into curriculum by the Department of Education, of the Ministry of Education in Israel. The book is available in Hebrew, Arabic, English, and we will do a number of concerts in schools. I will also perform for the IDF. I will go on the base there, and we will do 2 galas, one of them in the Anu Museum of the Jewish People. And as I understand, I'm also going to perform in Philharmonic Hall in Jerusalem, in the Symphony Hall there. So the tour has been solidified here. It's been a hit and miss, as we all know. We were scheduled to go first in January. Of course, tragedy struck, and now we have rescheduled the tour for that. As Rebecca may have mentioned, I will go to China in 2025. And to tell all of you here, and as Cedric knows, one of my dreams is to come to Australia. I've had a number of inquiries along the way. I think the book is published in Australia, as I understand, by Alan Worth, I believe, or Alan Wood, a publishing house there. And it is my dream and goal to see if we can bring the Willesden Read, or bring me down there for a concert tour and bring this to students across Australia, or at least in some of the great cities. It would be amazing to bring it to Sydney, of course, and one of the great music halls that you have. So that is who I am in the world. That is what my dream is. As I said, I've been very privileged to see this story celebrated by students and audiences and readers from all walks of life, all religions, all ethnicities. It's been an incredible instrument to break down walls of hatred. And I don't particularly position it as a Holocaust story, even though it is based in the Holocaust. And my mother was a Kindertransport refugee growing up in England. And my father was one of the highest decorated Jewish officers in the French resistance, receiving the Croix de Guerre from General Charles de Gaulle himself. I don't necessarily position it that way. I tried to make it a story of a Jewish teenager in World War II who had a dream. And that's been the sweet spot why students around the globe have really resonated to this, because everyone can relate to having a dream. And how do you hold on to that dream in the darkest of times? And so from the 10,000 South African learners that embraced this story when we went to South Africa and we performed in the hall where Nelson Mandela spoke from the balcony when he was freed from prison, to the National Cathedral in London, where, as I mentioned before, Muslim students cheered this story and said, when is it coming out in Arabic? To African-American students in Alabama and Tennessee who have heard the legacies from their grandparents, who heard their stories of slavery in America, one of the most horrible things that we could have ever grown up knowing in America's history, to the students in Cambodia who have experienced this story. And God willing, when we go to China, students will relate to this. It has become an instrument of man's humanity to man, and challenges us to ask the questions, how do we want to walk through this life? What kind of person do we want to be? And students write us to say, I will never look at a Jewish person in the same way. I will never think of a refugee in the same way. I will never look at the dark color of my friend in school in the same way. And this book teaches me to appreciate the gifts that I have, the gift of a family, and the gift that I can go for my dream. So that was always my goal, why I struggled to bring this out. I struggled for 10 years to get this book sold. And then one day my dream came true. That's a story in itself that I will not share today. If I'm invited back another time or come to Australia, I will share that story. But I always believe that there are reasons why we succeed in life, or what happens to us, or how doors open, and that we have certain angels to help us along the way. And there was an individual that knocked on my door and saw that manuscript on the ground and picked it up 18 years ago and sent it to someone in New York, and the rest was history for me. And I hope maybe someone on this Zoom will be an angel to say, we'd like to bring Mona to Australia, and let's figure out a way how to do that, because it's a village. It takes those angels to all help us. And when I looked at this beautiful film that you showed, Cedric, before we started our conversation with myself, the beautiful video that you made of March of the Living from Australia, and the statements that were made by the young people that you have brought there, we're in this all together. I often say there are 6 million numbers etched on my heart. There are 6 million stories. No story is greater or less than another story. And on top of it, there are many more than 6 million stories. There are the stories of the Rwanda genocide and the Cambodian genocide. And if we're really going to put an end to the tragedies that keep repeating themselves, we have to know that what we as Jewish people went through have also been shared by so many other cultures and beautiful people across the globe. And by sharing that humanity and that inhumanity and that sorrow and that triumph of the human spirit, maybe we have a chance to change where the world is going. It's not just our tragedy, it's a global tragedy. So I'm open to, I can't see the faces of anyone here. I only see the beautiful names of people. I would love to take questions if you would like your audience to pose that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mana, the reason you can't see the faces is because they come up when they speak. So hopefully you can see my face at the moment. We would love, first of all, I mean, the whole story is quite remarkable. What you've done is remarkable. What your mother did was remarkable. And the messages that you bring are so true to our mission and our vision. So all I can say is I'm blown away. I can also honestly say to this audience that when Mona and I first discussed the possibility of having this um, chat, there was an ulterior motive behind this, because I clearly believe that it can't be that we as an Australian audience will miss out on this incredible opportunity of having you come here and do this in front of 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 students, adults, whatever. There is a need, there's a calling, and there's an opportunity, and we just wanted to do this as a forerunner, because I'm sure that the others will share the sentiment. But I'd like to, before we go there, obviously just ask anyone in the audience if there are any questions or any comments, or so please feel free to just unmute yourself if you do have a question or comment, and I'd be more than happy in the time remaining for us to go down and have a bit of a conversation. Is there anyone out there who would like to? I don't see any hands, any expression. Was there anybody? I'm going to just keep on sort of leaving it open there for a second. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to know a bit more, wants to ask Mona some questions? If not, I'm going to lead with a question, and that is, Mona, can you tell us about how you landed up being in America? Your mother, I mean, without us, I've read the book, but for the audience.
Right. So when we did the research for the book, and I asked my mother questions and asked all the other children from the hostel on Willesden Lane, I was told that so many of the kids were told at the train station, don't worry, we're going to be reunited and we will go to America. The America was the shining light. We all know that. And a gateway for the world. And so I think when they discovered the truth after the war, many of these children chose to, even though they were not reunited with their families and they lost so much, they chose to continue what they had remembered their parents had told them. And they sought out relatives in America to sponsor. In my mother's case, she had some relatives in Los Angeles and New York that were members of the family from Vienna. And they sponsored to bring her to America. And that's how it happened.
Fantastic. And I mean, apart from the fact that obviously there's, there are many ways in which one gets involved in a certain aspiration, career, love for a certain thing. But what brought you to take up music in the fashion that you did?
So when I was a little kid, my mom taught me the piano. Literally, she put me on the piano when I was around 5 or 6 years old. And in those first set of years, she, as I expressed in the beginning, she always said that each piece of music tells a story. She made music come alive through the fanciful challenges to my imagination. Then as I got a little older, she started to tell me about Johnny King Kong and Aaron and Gina, all the characters at 243 Willesden Lane, the Jewish hostel where she landed. I learned about the blind boy that would tap his cane and tell my mother not to rush on the piano. I learned about the pivotal stuff that happened in Vienna. I learned about Kristallnacht. This is as year and year went by. I was regaled with these stories, but she made them pretty much very enthralling. I learned about the boy that she fell in love with or had a secret crush on, who was part of the black market. And most importantly, I learned what my grandmother told her at the train station, to never forget to hold on to her music, that my grandmother would be with her every step of the way through the music. Those were the pivotal words that she told me, not only in the piano lessons, but also when she put me to sleep at night. So it kind of it got engraved into my heart. But then we skip ahead a bunch of decades. I'm now a concert pianist. I've become very well known, and I'm engaged to play that very piece, the Grieg piano concerto that she dreamed about making her debut in when she was a little girl back in Vienna. And so that's when the dream was born in my heart.
Amazing, amazing. I'm going to take a short break. Is there anyone out there who would like to ask Mona a question?
Well, we have a shy audience here, I think.
Yes. I see Elizabeth, you've come online. Yes, Elizabeth, please go ahead.
I'd like to know if there's an adult edition of the book.
Yes, there is.
Yes, when you remember in the beginning, you saw 4 versions of the book. So the red book is that was the original book that came out. But I do believe the book that is published in Australia through the Australian publishing house might be The Young Reader, if I recall. But you can go to Amazon and certainly order the adult book. That's not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also available in audio, just as a matter of interest.
Yes, I recorded actually. That was a very challenging thing for me to do, the audio on Audible. You can hear me. I spent a week in New York and had to record the entire book. Quite challenging, but apparently it came out so well that it won a lot of awards. So I'm very thrilled about that. Yes.
Absolutely. Any other questions? So I'm going to, and I honestly believe that the silence shouldn't be interpreted as a wrongly. I believe that I probably, I'm speaking on behalf of the audience, but I'm certainly voicing my own opinion here, that what you have achieved together with the USC Shah Foundation and other partners is quite incredible, because you've taken something that so many of those 6 million stories, there are so many of them out there, but you've made this into something tangible, that is meaningful, that crosses boundaries, that talks about the universal lessons from the Holocaust, that it's not just a Jewish story. This affects how we interact as human beings with each other, and the power of that belief that is so prominent amongst survivors, refugees, etc., etc. Without that, it would probably be very hard for them to have gone through that journey. So very, very profound, very touching, very moving. And so from my perspective, I just want to thank you for what you do. I want to certainly tell you, as I've told you separately, that I have no doubt that one day we'll find the way. And when I say we, I will certainly do whatever March of the Living Australia can do to make this happen, together with you and other possible partners. But I certainly believe that we would be doing an injustice to the Australian public if we didn't bring you out here, because you've got such an amazing story to tell. And so I want to thank you and Rebecca. And honestly, it will happen. When, I'm not quite sure, but it will happen. Of that, I'm convinced. So,
well, Cedric, your passion comes through all the way to Los Angeles. I think March of the Living is very blessed to have you as its CEO. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I have family down in Australia, in Melbourne. Actually, my father's, my father's 2 brothers that did survive the war, they immigrated to Australia and raised their children there. My father fell in love with my mother and changed the course of his life and followed her, as love will do, in a very dramatic love story. But it would be an honor to come. I hope we can make that happen. Maybe on my way to China or on my way back from China.
Absolutely, it's just around the corner.
Exactly, we could do that. And I have a lot of special memories of one time coming to Australia when I was a teenager to visit. And I know that Australia certainly is one of the great countries of the world, so that would be a true honor. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to have the opportunity to share. I'm probably going to sign off because I need to put out fires from Israel and all the concert tour, all the details, we have a whole team going, and that's going to be my next Zoom to come on. But I thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really wonderful.
Thank you so much, Mana. Before the audience goes, and it will literally be half a second, I just want to, before I really end the proceedings, I'd like to wish all those who will be celebrating Passover, may this be a memorable and enjoyable one for each of you. And let us pray that for those not as fortunate as us to be celebrating in any way, not to mention freely, due to their continued bondage at the hands of Hamas, that they be released as soon as feasibly possible. Our delegation to March of the Living 2024 is either on its way as we speak or about to depart for Poland immediately after Passover. So I'd like to wish all the participants safe travels, and I look forward to joining them shortly on this life-affirming journey, and ask the entire audience, or suggest to the audience, to follow us on this journey on our social media and via our newsletter. Mona.
Yes, I noticed that a lot of people are asking about posting the link. So I'm going to send it, if that's okay to you, Cedric. So a proper link here so that you can sync up properly. And then would you share this with all your folks there? Would that be the way to do it?
Absolutely. We'll do that.
Okay, I think, folks,
so that'll be wonderful.
That would be the way to do it. Then my trying to dig up a link right now and put it in the chat box incorrectly. Yes.
No. We will share the recording of this together with that link with all of those that are on this.
What I want to invite everybody here on the site is go to holdontoyourmusic.org. Actually, I can type that in, and you can read what we do all over the world. Holdontoyourmusic.org. I hope I spelled it correctly. Did I spell it correctly? Let's see. Is that going? I'm sorry, that went to Rebecca. How do I put it to all of you? I apologize.
There's on that drop down, you'll be able to find an everyone.
I don't seem to be able to do that.
That's all right. Maybe we will put that.
You're going to type it in. You can see what we're doing all over the world. There are videos there. You can watch many things, folks. We invite you to take a look. You can read how to order the books, all kinds of things on the site there. And that would be a great way to take a look. Yes.
Thank you, Mana.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Chag Sameach. Happy Pesach.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.